Welcome back to the 22nd episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the new legend, Mike Gordon.
Howdy. Wow, wow. See, I'm trying. It's different. You have to have like some sort of, I think, you like thing in your, wah, wah, wah.
Now, you sure that's the real one and that one replaced by Alfred?
I don't know. We did have somebody come and look around for insurance purposes earlier, so maybe.
All right. So this is season 1, episode 22. Not yet, he ain't. Episode aired Thursday, March 24th, 1966. Now, the last episode, Batman and Robin were knocked unconscious by cement-filled umbrellas and then strung up behind the shooting gallery. Will Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara put holes in the Cape Crusaders? Let's ask Magic Batman and see what their fate will be.
Magic Batman. This was a pretty intense finale or cliffhanger, I think.
Yeah, it was. All right, Magic Batman says affirmative. So I guess they're not making it out of this one. Chief O'Hara and Commissioner Gordon must be crack shots.
Must be crack shots. Yeah, sure. I was thinking that was going to be the way they got out of it, is that they because well, later on the police can't seem to hit anything.
As the Penguin tells Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara, ready, aim, Batman and Robin put the soles of their boots against the tent. The Penguin yells, fire. Both red balloons pop with accurate shooting precision.
Nice.
Holy hot foot! The bulletproof soles of their shoes saved their lives. Luckily, the shock has unjammed the bat knife. The Cape Crusaders are able to cut themselves free and escape.
All right. That was pretty weak. They didn't really need the bulletproof soles of the shoes. I think if they had just raised themselves up so that they were higher than the field of fire, they probably would have been fine. Although I guess you can't really, either way, you have to depend on them being crack shots. Because if they are not crack shots, either one of them stray a little bit, then yeah, Batman and Robin are dead.
Yes, especially if they miss the soles of their shoes and hit them somewhere else.
Yeah. So taking a big risk there either way, but the episode gets better in my opinion. So
I'm wondering how that bat knife got unjammed and magically in his hand.
That went by so fast, so I don't think we're supposed to question it.
At Commissioner Gordon's office, Penguin demands that Batman and Robin be apprehended. Penguin grabs the bat phone and calls Batman himself. Commissioner Gordon recommends Batman turn himself in. Batman promises the Penguin he will be at his protection agency office in 25 minutes. Batman and Robin show up at Penguin's protective agency, acting like they flipped their lids. A fight ensues. When they hear police sirens, Batman and Robin flee. Chief O'Hara intercepts the Batmobile and orders Batman to surrender. Batman uses the emergency bat turn lever to turn the Batmobile around. Another cop car blocks the Batmobile. Batman and Robin flee on foot. Batman and Robin flee down an alley, and Batman uses a smoke pellet, but the police gun them down. In the meantime,
can I just say right now?
Oh,
this is the most efficient we've ever seen the Gotham PD. Like the most efficient they've ever been. And you know why? Because they are adhering to the directions that Batman gave them earlier in the conversation. All they're doing is following the script. They're not doing anything on their own. Everything is planned. We find out, later. But man, this whole sequence, I mean, even though I know how it's going to end up and everything like that, I found it thrilling. And when they're gunned down in the alley, I mean, it's pretty dark.
Yeah, it
That
is.
the image of them like going down, and then the image of them sort of like laying there, and then they put like a tarp over them or whatever. It just, man, it really sold it, and I was like, wow, that's pretty effective. I mean, I don't think I saw this one back in the day when I was a kid, but maybe I did, and if I did, man, this was probably something that would have affected me, I would think, because it affects me now. Just seeing them flee and just be gunned down. I mean, it takes a while because they're the Gotham PD are seem to be worse than stormtroopers. They can't hit anything, even at that close range. But yet by the end, when they're trapped in the alley, I mean, you know, they are just laid out. And then we get the I don't know if that's where you're going, but then we get the scene with Alfred and Aunt Harriet, which is pretty sad as well. I mean, that's like, man, come on, Bruce, you didn't make that call. Like, and I expected Bruce and Dick to kind of show up and be like, "What's going on? Oh, Batman and Robin are dead. Oh, wow, that's weird."
In the meantime, Penguin and his henchmen steal the Batmobile. Commissioner Gordon announces that Batman and Robin will be buried with full police honors despite they died as fugitive felons. Back at Wayne Manor, Mrs. Cooper is upset at the passing of Batman and Robin. She wishes that Bruce and Dick were there to console her. Alfred says he doubts that very much and starts shedding tears of his own.
Just a
Penguin has
tiny
trained.
just a tiny butler tear. Just a tiny
Yep.
butler tear. Yeah, yeah. He's pretty strong considering he really believes it. So but I they're you know, Bruce and Dick should be glad that they didn't just that Alfred didn't just spill the beans right there.
Yep. I what's more what's more surprising is I would think Alfred would try contacting them to see if they're okay before just jumping to conclusions.
Hey, he saw it right there on TV.
Penguin. Okay. Penguin has transformed the Batmobile into the Birdmobile. He's driving around in the birds. Geez. He is driving around in the Birdmobile with Sophia Starr when they come across the robbery. Penguin fires a weapon from the Birdmobile and scares the robber away. Back at the Batcave, Batman and Robin spy on Penguin using surveillance equipment they have installed on the Batmobile. Batman believes the robbery was a charade. What was your first clue? Maybe the henchman having his name on his shirt?
Or the fact that all the wedding presents are labeled loot.
Penguin, Penguin's henchmen place a bomb in the water pipes. So when the wedding guests arrive, it's raining indoors. Penguin's henchmen hand out umbrellas for the guest of Penguin and Sophia Starr's wedding. All right, I want to stop right here because we get into this scene and it's not obvious right away that this was a wedding. I don't, I don't know. I don't think they spelled it out quite enough before we get into it because Penguin's talking about you guys get the bomb placed and all this stuff, but they never said anything about them having a wedding. We just kind of figure it out as the scene goes along. Oh, they're coming for a wedding, huh?
Well, well, I mean, their wedding presents there, so we know that there's going to be a wedding. But we find out, and through the course of it, we find out later that Penguin's not interested in the marriage. Like he's not interested in getting married. So of course he's not really,
No.
he's just interested in getting the loot and getting out of there. Uh, so the only one who's really interested in getting married is Miss Starr.
So, yeah. Penguin presses a button on his umbrella and confetti shoots out of all, all the guest umbrellas. Penguin presses a second button and all the wedding gifts disappear and slide down a chute into the Batmobile. Penguin presses a final button and knockout gas takes out Chief O'Hara and Commissioner Gordon, which I don't know why he invited them in the first place.
Well, I thought it was kind of nice of him, actually.
Well, it was nice of him, but why bring them there when you're planning on stealing the wedding gifts? And before we
Because the penguin is just that arrogant. It's not enough for him to steal the gifts. He's gonna steal them right under the noses of the commissioner and the chief. That's penguin style.
what I thought it was funny was when I was watching this, I'm thinking, okay, you're having this wedding to steal these presents. Why don't you just get married and get the presents legally? I
Because then he would have
understand
to get married.
then he'd have to get married, but
See that we find this out later. He's got a plan. It doesn't make sense to us at this time, but it makes sense to him.
Penguin and his henchmen escape in the Birdmobile. Batman and Robin follow them on the Bat Cycle. Batman hits the remote control ejector button. Both of Penguin's henchmen go flying out of the Birdmobile. Next, Batman takes over the steering of the Batmobile remotely and turns Penguin around so he's coming back toward them. When Batman and Robin come across the henchmen, they stop to battle them. When Penguin arrives, Batman dodges the bullet from his umbrella and punches out the Penguin. Penguin and his henchmen are tied to the roof of the Batmobile. Batman states they'll have to get the Batmobile fumigated. Back at police headquarters, Sophia Starr still wants to marry Penguin, but he's not having it. Penguin asks to go to jail.
Yeah, he'd rather go to jail. Yeah. So see, we find out that's the real jail for him. That's the real horror, is getting married for real. So that's why his plot. Now, there's a lot that happens here. I think it's a pretty packed two-parter. It's not really, when I was looking around at some of the other opinions on this two-parter, it doesn't seem like it's as highly regarded as the initial one with the penguin, with the umbrellas and everything. But I really, really enjoyed this two-parter. I think more so, actually. And I did check to see that if it was based on any particular comic. And there are a lot of, almost all the we're talking early, like the 40s and 50s appearances of the penguin feature him, quote unquote, going straight. He'll have some sort of business. Either he has a bird shop or an umbrella store or something of that nature, and he's using those items to infiltrate customers, rich customers, so that he can rob them later. And then he's stopped by Batman. But in the very first appearance of the Penguin, called it's in Detective Comics number 58, one of the most perfect frame-ups. In that story, the Penguin does appear to be, to the police and everything, a crime fighter. And in fact, he sets the Batman up so that it looks like the Batman has stolen some paintings. I think it's paintings in this one, not jewels. And so the police have to arrest or go after Batman in that one. Now, there isn't a scene where they chase him down and kill him and all that kind of stuff. The rest of the story is dramatically different. Although I think it is of note that in the first story, in this first appearance, the Penguin gets away. They do not capture him, which is I thought, kind of interesting. But yeah, so the most of the appearances of the Penguin, the setup is that he's trying to convince everybody that he's a straight and narrow guy, and yet he's full of dealings, particularly involving rich people and rich clients, on how to get their wealth out of them. So in that case, this one is pretty much along the same lines. And I love Burgess Meredith in this. There's some moments in this that, if for Burgess Meredith is my favorite Penguin. There are moments in this that if you are a fan of the Tim Burton Batman Returns with Danny DeVito as the Penguin, now obviously he's a very different sort of penguin. He's much more, visually he's more repulsive, less refined, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a couple of things that I think in this story are referenced in that movie. One is when Batman is controlling the Batmobile and the Penguin can't control the car. I think that appears in Batman Returns, if I'm not mistaken. And also in the first episode, we didn't mention it last week, but in the first episode, there's that scene where the Penguin calls the police commissioner. He's talking to the police commissioner about, arresting Batman and Robin, and he's chowing down on this, like in this jar of sardines or this fish, and it looks absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I don't know what Burgess Meredith was really eating there, but it looks foul. And I mean in both in the oh my god, that's disgusting sense of the word foul, not in the bird sense of the foul word foul. And that's not an intentional pun there. And usually I intend the pun. But in this case, yeah, it's so disgusting. He's just munching away. And in the Tim Burton movie, we see the Penguin eating fish, and he's just disgusting, eating just raw fish all the time. So there are some elements there that are in this series that I think are not in the comics. In the comics, he is pretty much just a dude in a tux. They call him the Penguin because he wears a tux, not because he has any penguin type um, tendencies or attributes. He does sort of open up a bird shop later on, and he does sort of have an affinity for bird things, but and for umbrellas. But of course, umbrellas don't have anything to do with penguins, really, not in the real world anyway. We associate it with them now, but because of this, uh, but I think Burgess Meredith is a hoot in this two-parter. I think he's great. The scenes where he's fighting crime, he just sort of he just sort of relishes in it. The scene when after he thinks the chief and the commissioner have shot Batman and Robin, after he goes back to check on them and they're gone, his reaction is just priceless. He's like, "Oh, you gods, they evaporated," like he's just like, he's like, "What's going on?" Like he's just like he's and watching the police gun him down and everything like that, and him when he thinks he's made off with it, and he's in the Birdmobile, which is interesting because I have seen a lot of different versions of that Batmobile released, both officially and custom wise. And I don't know if I've ever seen anybody like make a Birdmobile. And I don't think it would take that much effort. I mean, all you'd need is a couple of umbrellas or stickers or whatever. But the idea that he's driving around in the Batmobile though is kind of uh insulting, I would say, the way he treats the Batmobile. So I'm glad that yes, I agree with Batman that it has to be fumigated. It has to be fumigated. Especially if the Penguin's been eating some of that fish in there. Ooh, goodness gracious, that can't be good. So, but and this is, and we're going to see this theme. This is something that I never realized either, but we have seen so many villains so far um not only want to kill Batman and get rid of Batman, but if they get the opportunity to do so, one of the first things they want to do is steal the Batmobile.
Yeah,
Like the
because it's an
Batmobile,
awesome car.
right? Exactly. If we didn't recognize that the Batmobile was an awesome car, the show tells us that like almost every other week because some villain is like, "Man, we got to steal that car. We got to steal that car," and usually they're not successful because of the deterrents that Batman has installed in there. But of course, this time Batman has made sure that those are not the case because he wants the Penguin to steal the car so he can watch what he does and monitor him. Even though the monitor where that camera is placed and where we see, like, it makes no sense.
No
But
sense. Yeah, I know. I know. That was what I was thinking when I was watching that too. That doesn't make any sense. One of the things I wanted to bring up was when Batman and Robin go back to the Bat Cave after they've been killed, um, to monitor the Penguin. One of the things I thought was funny was Robin's Robin is holding a milk, right? We don't see Robin drink out of the milk, but he's holding this milk and he puts it down. Batman picks it up and drinks out of it. I'm like, what are they doing? Are they drinking out of the same glass of milk?
I thought that was. It's funny because
But
I didn't.
also
I thought that was like, yeah, I thought that was. I maybe he was just bringing him milk.
maybe, but it looked like it was half drunk already.
Bruce, I'm done with this
Now,
milk.
also in that scene, also in that scene, we get our first glimpse of the Bat Cycle. We have
Yes.
not seen the Bat Cycle just sitting in the Bat Cave.
No.
When I saw it, I was like, "Oh, the Bat Cycle! Are we going to see it this episode?" And
Boom.
sure enough, we did.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. The Bat
The first
Cycle
appearance of
is
the Bat
awesome.
Cycle.
Yes, the Bat Cycle is pretty awesome.
So this is the first time we get to see another vehicle of Batman's besides the
Yes.
Batmobile. So that's pretty awesome. I know we're
Yes.
going to be getting more vehicles in the future, but it
Yes.
was nice to see the Bat Cycle in this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The the only other thing I noticed is that for when Aunt Harriet and Alfred are watching TV about the report of Batman and Robin being shot down,
Uh,
for some reason there's a Maltese Falcon on the top of the TV, and I was like, "Whoa, they have a Maltese Falcon!" I was like, I mean, I'm a big Humphrey Bogart and Maltese Falcon fan, so I recognized that instantly, and I was like, "Wow, that's." I was like, "Is that one of the real props from this movie?" And yeah, I don't know what the story is on that. I don't know if it's ever appears again. I'll have to keep an eye out, Falcon eye on it, but on their TV from now on. But I did think that was kind of interesting that that was there. But what did you think of this overall? How does this one compare for you to the other Penguin outing and some of the other episodes?
I really enjoyed this one. We got the first appearance of the Bat Cycle in it. The Penguin was great in this, so I think I almost like it better than the previous one he was in.
Yeah,
So
I love the fact that the Penguins really got Batman and Robin on the ropes a lot of the throughout a lot of this
yeah,
story. I mean,
because
they're playing catch up like through most of it, and the only thing that they can do really to sort of make the Penguin mess up is to fake their own deaths so that he'll make a mistake thinking that they're dead, and that's pretty extreme.
now I didn't notice it in the first episode of this, but in this episode, his henchman, I think it's Dove. Yeah, Dove is played by Al Checo.
Hmm.
I think that's how you pronounce his name. I looked at him. I'm like, where have I seen him before? And then it dawned on me. He was in the Don Knotts movie, The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. He was
Oh,
one of the guys that was during the jury scene. He was giving testimony, and it just popped out all of a sudden. I was like, yeah, I've seen him before, and he's been in a
yeah,
lot of things. So
yeah. The other guy, Eagle Eye, he's played by Harvey Lembeck, who is famous for being. He's in a lot of the beach movies that Frankie and Annette were in the '60s.
oh
He plays this sort of like almost like pre Happy Days Fonz guy. He plays like a leather biker guy, sort of like a parody of Brando's The Wild One. He just plays this sort of gang leader, motorcycle gang leader, and so yeah, he's famous for pretty much, and he's been like
he's
the
been
other
in a
guy.
lot.
He's been in a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, I recognized him before too, or I recognized him too, but I didn't remember from what. So,
Yeah, yeah. But
but yeah,
everybody else is really like this is yeah, this is a really I really like this one. I thought this was a step up from the other Penguin episode, and it opened up the world a little bit more. And it was, we're not we're not seeing the same old story over and over again. This is like the third or fourth time now where we've had stories that are different. There's not a big battle. There's not a big, like, things aren't progressing as you would think a Batman story would be. Instead, the plot's going in ways that you're like, I don't know how this is going to end up.
Totally agree with you. So I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Did you have a shout out, Mike?
Not specifically bat related, but I did want to give a shout out again because we just recorded some really fun episodes of Earth Station Who. So if you want to hear me chat about another show from the 60s, although actually we did recently go back as far as one of those. We did recently review one of the early First Doctor adventures. And we're getting ready, well, depending on when you listen to this, we will have already recorded episodes with the new Doctor, or we're getting ready to, depending on when you listen to these. But yeah, so it's really fun. Mike and Mary, and we have a whole bunch of other people join us from time to time. It's just we have a blast reviewing that show. We're not doing that show. We don't do in order. So we didn't start with the first Doctor Who episode ever in the 60s and then go chronologically like we're doing here. A lot of podcasts do that. As a matter of fact, there's a podcast on the ESO network that does that, the Watchathon or Rassilon. They started from the very first episode and are continuing on. And if you want to do that, that's fantastic. There are, like I said, there's a few podcasts that do that. I can recommend. I have made guest appearances on the Watchathon with Rassilon, and they are great. Tony and Joe are great people, so I definitely encourage you to do that if you're interested in Doctor Who and you want to watch along or listen along as you're watching those stories, because I don't think they have a video feed yet. But yeah, with Earth Station Who, we don't do that. We just do randomly sort of pick episodes unless they're new, then we record those as they're released. So a little bit different, but though we've done enough of them that I suppose if you look through our library, chances are that we've recorded already reviews of a lot of the early ones, so that if you are going to do it in order, there's probably going to be a few holes, but we probably have, because we've been doing it for more than 10 years now, I think. So we've recorded a lot of reviews of past episodes. So you would have to just listen to our shows out of order. But now we're doing those on video as well. So you can watch us as well. So if you got YouTube or however you get your podcast, you can check out Earth Station Who.
All right. And for my shout out, I came across this little thing I forgot I had, a Batman 60s
Cassette.
cassette from
Nice.
the show. So it's just music from the show.
Mm-hmm.
Exclusive original television soundtrack album. So I thought that was funny that I came across that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I don't think I ever had that on cassette. There are so many different versions of the theme. I know I have a few of those, and I think I do have that soundtrack digitally. I might have gotten it on, I probably got it on CD at one point and then burned it or ripped it, whatever you want to call it. And then taken it from the CD. So yeah, I know I have it in my library though. It's an
So
awesome soundtrack. It's an awesome soundtrack.
the
Awesome.
only
Just not the theme, but all the music throughout, I think is incredible on this series.
yes. Now the funny thing is, I don't have. I've I found this in storage, so I don't think I have anything to play it on. It's
Wah,
been a long
wah.
time since I've listened to it, but I thought that was fun that I had actually had. I forgot I had it.
That's awesome though. I had to dig out and see if I have the 8-track somewhere. I don't.
If you'd like to comment on anything we've talked about tonight, you can reach us at our feedback line, 317-455-8411. Leave us a message, text us, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. All right, you ready to get out of here, Batchum?
I am. BatChums are ready to move out.
Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Don't worry, the worst is yet to come.